Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you a movie called Birth/Rebirth 2023. Enjoy watching. A woman named Celine works in the maternity ward. She is single-handedly raising her daughter Lila, who is 6 years old, and because of this she hardly ever rests. In the morning, a woman finds out that her child has a high fever, but she can't miss a shift and has to go to work. So she asks her neighbor to babysit. Rose works at the same hospital, only in the morgue. She is not sociable, so when she was asked to replace another employee, she refused. In the evening of the same day, Rose goes to a bar, where she meets a man and takes him to the toilet, where she pleases him with her hands and a special device, and when she receives his seminal fluid, she leaves without saying anything. When she gets home, she feeds her piglet, and then puts him on N4 and lies down next to him and injects the biomathematics of that man into herself. Meanwhile, at work, Celine drops her phone into the toilet, and because she can't find out about her daughter's well-being now, she hurries home immediately after work. After not finding her neighbor and daughter, the woman discovers a note saying that her child has only gotten worse, so they went to the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, the woman learns that her daughter died of meningitis. She does not believe in this and, taking her child's belongings, goes down to the morgue. There she meets Rose, who informs her that her child's body has been taken for examination and says she should leave. When the woman drives home, she notices Rose stuffing a large black bag into her car, but does not attach any importance to this. The woman keeps trying to get through to the examination center, but the answering machine says that they will start working on Monday. Arriving there on a working day, Celine finds out that her daughter's body is not there. Back at the hospital, the woman begins to swear, demanding to let her go to the morgue employee. Rose, having overheard their conversation, takes a suitcase and runs to the parking lot. Ignoring the screams of the woman, she drives away. It's been a few days, but the woman still manages to find Rose's residential address. Celine approaches Rose and reluctantly makes contact, but at one point the sound of some kind of device becomes audible from her apartment. She pushes the woman away and rushes inside, but Celine rushes after and freezes in horror. Her baby Lila is lying on the bed, and various devices are connected to her body. Rose begins to explain that the girl is still alive. The whole point is that she is perfect for testing her new experimental drug, with which she managed to resurrect the child, and now she is watching her so that everything is in order and there will be no surprises in the future. Later, a pig enters the room, and Rose also begins to explain that this animal was also subjected to an experiment after death. Thanks to the constant administration of serum, which regenerates tissues, the pig lives a normal life, but everything is more difficult with the girl, since she does not know how her brain will work after resurrection. Celine begins to trust the woman. She packs her things and moves in with Rose so that Lila can be looked after. Now they take turns going to work so as not to leave the subjects alone. During the night shift, Celine packs everything she needs to take care of the child in a suitcase. Meanwhile, Rose is taking medication causing a miscarriage because she is 3 months pregnant. She did this because she needed a placenta for subsequent experiments. A few days later, they perform an operation after which the girl begins to breathe. Later, Rose says that she began her research as a child. Her mother was engaged in medicine, so she also became interested in this profession. The next day, on her shift, Rose loses consciousness and is taken to the operating room. As it turned out, after the miscarriage, she developed an infection that affected her reproductive function, and now she will no longer be able to get pregnant. Celine, worried about Rose, notices her daughter sitting down and opening her eyes. The woman joyfully runs to her daughter, but she does not react to her mother in any way. Rose returns home and reports that the experiment failed because she should have added some component 12 hours ago. But when she noticed that Lila had woken up, the woman was very surprised and said that it was too early for this stage. Rose concludes that she regenerates much faster than the experimental piglet, but the problem is that, in order to continue the experiment, the girl needs to constantly inject serum, the main component of which is the embryo tissue. The woman impregnated herself on her own to get the necessary material. Well, the remaining serum will only last for a couple of weeks, so you need to figure out what to do. A little later, she gets an idea and runs off to work. When she returned home, she saw a TV in front of the girl's bed, but as soon as she turned it off, the girl immediately began to cry. During a conversation with Celine, she asks her to study the file of pregnant women and found a suitable sample among them. Now she needs to get amniotic fluid in order to make a new batch of serum. Celine fakes the tests for a suitable pregnant woman and takes the necessary materials. At home, Rose says that thanks to the received material, they will be able to get a few more weeks, but Celine will have to do this several more times until the woman gives birth. Realizing that that woman will worry and think that something is wrong with the child, she still agrees to such a thing. A few days later, Lila begins to take her first steps, and the girl also remembers the song that her mother sang to her in infancy. And yet, she began to respond to her name. In the evening, Celine finds videotapes of experiments and notices that Rose's mother became the first test subject. The woman, shocked by what she saw, turns off the recording. During the next ultrasound, the pregnant woman reports that she is being transferred to another hospital. After returning home from work, Celine tells Rose about this and they begin to quarrel and look for someone to blame among themselves. But then they realize that they need to find another solution to this problem. Lila gets up at night and kills a piglet. After seeing this, Rose manages to find a way to speed up the girl's recovery process. But this requires a bone marrow-based serum. Women take this material from a piglet, and then they continue to monitor the girl. But there is no improvement in sight. Celine is going to take extra shifts at the hospital to have access to more patients, because this will increase the opportunity to find a suitable donor. But Rose holds a lot of opinions and advises taking a vacation to spend more time with her daughter, as she understands that the girl will soon be gone due to the lack of the necessary serum. A few days have passed and Lila's heart stops. Celine has been by my side all this time. When Rose returned home, she saw a made-up bed, as well as the girl's body in the freezer. At that moment, Celine went to the pregnant woman from whom they were taking the material. During the tea party, she imperceptibly slipped a drug that causes childbirth into the girl's mug. When the girl had an epileptic seizure, Celine called an ambulance, which took her to their hospital. The woman took part in the operation and the child was saved, but the mother died. Rose, who was on duty at the morgue at the time, was able to collect all the necessary biological materials. When she returned home, she met Celine, who was clearly not in the mood. Now the two of them have performed the resurrection procedure in the hope that they will be able to bring the experiment to an end.